Now, I know there are issues with selling at antique markets or fairs. First one, of course, is you have to get up at silly o'clock. But I'm used to that. That's not a problem. The second issue that you have to confront is to accept I'm not going to get as much money when I make a sale as I would if I sold it online. The reason being, a lot of the customers at flea markets, car boots, or antique fairs are dealers themselves. So they're looking to get stock as cheaply as they possibly can, as I would if I was in their shoes. So there's always a little bit more negotiation to be done at a flea market or an antique fair. And at the end of the day, I don't have to give away my stock. I can hold out for a reasonable profit. So I am fully aware that it's a completely different marketplace compared to selling online, but it's one that I enjoy working in for the social side of it. I know a lot of the fellow traders, generally speaking, as long as I'm in the central England region. And I do enjoy the banter. I enjoy the being outside, working for the day, and hopefully making a few sales. One of the other disadvantages, of course, or possibly it is a disadvantage of selling at the market is you have to pay for your table, which can be, if it's a car boot, and a car boot, by the way, is where members of the public turn up and literally open the boot of the car and sell out of the boot of the car, possibly with a couple of tables. Flea market, well, we have those all around the world, don't we? But you do have to pay for the table, which for a car boot is normally around, depending where you come from, about £10, up to, and it can increase up to around £40, £45, possibly even up to £100 if you go to an antiques fair. And that all depends where you're selling it. I've covered the range from sort of £30, £45 right up to £110 down London way to stand for the day with about 18-foot, three 6-foot trestle tables. But you tend to find the more expensive the tables, the more you sell. So it's pro rata, isn't it? You make more money. So let's have a look at this first box that I've set aside specifically for selling at market. Now, some of this stock is quite old. And when I packed it, I did it all in a rush. So some of this will be new to me, to be honest with you. And I'll be seeing it for the first time in a while. So let's take a look. Right, now the other problem is some of this will be wrapped up because it was put aside ready for shipping as part of an online sale. So much as it pays me to do it, I am going to have to unwrap the stock as we go. And it's very well wrapped. Now, first up there is a bit of TV memorabilia? Not really memorabilia as such, but it's a signed limited edition print from a UK sitcom from the 1980s, I guess, called Faulty Towers. And here it is. Try and show you this without getting all glare on it. It's hand painted, it's a print of a hand painted original, and it's signed by the artist, who I can't quite make out the name at the moment, but it's number 32 of 100. And I think our American subscribers and viewers will certainly recognise John Cleese. That's Basil Fawlty. That's his wife. One of the maids one of the hotel maids and one of the waiters, Manuel. So anyway, that's quite a nice item. Asking wise, I'll probably be asking around £10 to £15 for that. Right, next up, we have, this is what's known as a Lefkara lace tray. It's a little drinks tray. Put your glass on top of it. But it's called Lefkara because I believe the lace is actually made in the Lefkara region in Europe. Now, is it Spain or Italy or somewhere like that? But it's called Lefkara lace because that's the area it's made. It's slipped a bit in the frame, as you can see. But overall, it's in quite nice condition. It's got its original green baize on the back and a couple of wrought brass handles at either end. So it's an antique. I would say it's an antique. Certainly pre-war. Nice bit of lace work. And I'll be asking in the region of around £10 for that. Right, next up we have a bit of an old faithful. A Victorian brass candlestick. Now, looking at the base, it's missing its ejector. Now, normally these will have, it's like a little disc on a push rod sticking out the bottom. And that's used to push up the nub of the candle when it's disappeared below the sconce at the top. It's a classic Victorian style. And they used to sell really well online, but I think everybody who wants a candle has now got one. So sales have stopped. So it's going onto the market. And I will be asking in the region of probably £5 to £10 for it, as it's a single candlestick. If there'd been a matching pair, obviously different kettle of fish altogether. Could ask quite a bit more, but it's one on its own. So I'll be asking around the sort of up to £10 mark for that. Right, here we have again, very well wrapped. So painful to unwrap it, to be honest, but there you go. Okay, this is it's a favourite little item of mine, and it did live up in my office for a while. It's a little hand-carved stone, quite primitive, duck. It's not resin, it is stone, and it is hand-carved. And as I'm looking at him now, I am in two minds about whether to put him back in my office, to be honest. He's been with me a long time. I haven't got a name for him. If you've got a good name, leave it in the comments below. And I don't know. Maybe you could persuade me to keep it and put it on the shelf in my office where you'll see him each week. But if I was to sell him, he would be around the £10 mark. And all these prices, by the way, these are antique market or flea market or car boot prices. These aren't the online prices. Online, that I'd be asking maybe not quite double, but certainly considerably more. Right, what do we have here? Got to stop wrapping things so well. Oh yeah, I know what it is. What I'll do, I'll speed up the unwrapping process before everybody falls asleep. Right, what we've got here is, I believe this to be a silver salter. I think it's European, so it could be French. There's no hallmark on it, but I have tested it for silver, and it is coming up with a silver response to the acid. So I think it's very early 20th century, possibly the late 19th century, silver salter. And it is, as it says on the tin, back in the day when salt wasn't so readily available to the middle classes, and even the aristocracy to a certain extent, but certainly to the middle classes, the bourgeoisie, in other words, the owners of production who tried to elevate themselves up the social scale, salt was a rare commodity. So they used to present it on the table with a bit of style, to be honest. And this is a little clamshell design on 3 dolphin legs. Really nice, very attractive. And you'd put your little salts and you'd either have a little spoon, I suppose, or take a pinch, depending on how posh you are. And by the way, somebody told me once that the term posh, as in being well-to-do, well-off, comes originally from cruise liners, and it was port out, starboard home. So you had to make sure you had the right cabin on the right side. So when you pulled out of the docks or wherever you were pulling out of, Titanic, pulling out, you wanted the port side as you pulled out, and then coming back, you wanted the starboard when you're coming home. So you can wave to all your friends and family who are seeing you off or welcoming you back home. So I don't know if that's true. Again, let me know in the comments below whether it's just an urban myth or whether that is true. So a nice little silver salter, and I would be asking in the region of, obviously there's a scrap value to this, the weight of it. I do know what the weight is, not off the top of my head, but I can't ask less than that because I could scrap it in. Not that I would, but I could scrap it in for a certain amount of money. But I'll probably be asking in the region of £25 for it. Maybe a little bit more. Right, next up, here we have an Anglo-Indian, and by that I mean it was made in India, I suspect, for the English market. Book slide, and it's called a book slide. Well, obviously normally you would put your books in, and so on, with 2 bookends, but it actually extends in width, so you can put more books in. It's hand carved, an ornate floral design. I think it's shisham wood, based on the colour of it. It is a hardwood, it's a tropical hardwood called shisham, and it's easy to carve and gives you a really nice sort of polished finish. So I'm pretty sure that's shisham wood, and it's hinged at either end. The bookends are elephants, and you can actually see remnants of some gold gilt paint. Now, I'm sure that's not real gold, but it's some sort of golden coloured gilt paint. So it's just remnants, picking out a few details, like the eye and the saddle on the back, and some of the saddlery, really. So, lovely little item. Surprised it hasn't sold online, but there you go. Who can tell what people are looking for? So, a nice little shisham wood, or tropical hardwood, Anglo-Indian book slide, and I'll be asking in the region of £20 for it. Here we have, and I'll rush through this, no point going on about this one. It's another small Victorian, solid brass candlestick. Again, the ejector's missing out of the bottom, which is very common. And it's in good overall condition. It doesn't match the other one, so it's a single camera. It's a single candlestick, and I'll be asking again in the region of probably up to about £10 for it. Now, this is quite a nice Japanese, probably, willow pattern, fruit bowl, solid brass, on 3 legs. No huge age to it. It's certainly 20th century, but I wouldn't say it's any older than the 1950s, 60s. And the willow pattern we all know and love. Hopefully, I don't know if you can make that out. There you go. That's not a bad view of it. So that's a classic willow pattern, which is etched into the brass. Now, I've seen a lot of these listed where people call them hand-carved, but they're not, they're etched. And etched is a chemical process whereby you bring out the design through removing metal with an acid, and then the pattern, which is protected by a substance, I'm not sure what it is, but that remains in place. So you get this etched effect where the removal of metal around the design by the acid reveals the design. So quite a nice little fruit bowl. I'd probably be asking in the region of £15 at the market. Something a bit different now. I remember wrapping all these up and how long it took. A while ago now, obviously, but unwrapping them all now, painful. Right, what we have here is it's an old-fashioned washing dolly. There it is. Now, you might think it's a stool. I wouldn't sell it as a stool. I'd sell it as a plant stand. Could be sold as a stool, but it seems solid enough still, but I would sell it as a plant stand. And how do I know it's a dolly? Well, because in the top there and in the bottom there, you can see where the pole would have gone. Now, these would have been used by, not very politically correct nowadays, but housemaids or housewives, as it was then 100 years ago. Obviously, everybody shares the domestic work in a house now. That's my caveat. But this would have been on a long pole, and it would have been inserted into probably a galvanised tub or a wooden tub full of hot soapy water where your clothes were, and it would have been spun round, and the action of spinning the dolly, which is what this is called, would have agitated the spindles or the legs would have agitated the soap and water, and you'd be cleaning your clothes. So it was a precursor to the washing machine. I think I know which I prefer. I'll probably stick with my Samsung. I'm not no affiliation there. My Samsung washing machine, to be honest. But it would make a lovely, decorative, and quite a unique plant stand. So I'd probably be asking in the region of £20 to £25 for that. I don't think I may end up taking 15 to 20, but I'd be asking around that kind of £20 mark. I'd be hoping to get around that 20 to 25. Antique, obviously, and I believe it's probably elm. Certainly not pine, and it's not oak. But I think it's probably an elm hardwood. All right. Next out we have, I think this is a friend for the other duck we saw earlier. And it's a little polished hardwood, hand carved, no great age duck. It's, I would say, possibly could be American. I know there are a lot of this type of sculpture or hand carved item in America. Not sure. It's got the eyes have been picked out, as you can see. So it's got a nice bit of detail. Lovely polished finish. Probably be asking in the region of £10 to £15 for him. And again, well, if I'm going to give the first duck a name, well, give me a name for this duck as well. Probably should be running a competition. So, yeah, no huge age to it. Certainly 20th century, and around the sort of £10 to £15 mark, probably around that sort of price. And we're on a bit of a roll here because we now have, that's probably the better view, a terracotta swan. I think it's a swan. It's been given an artificial patination to make it look like bronze, but it's terracotta. You see inside. You see the cast. There you go. You can see the colour of the terracotta. And a lot of people say, oh, it's broke around the neck. Well, it's not actually broke around the neck, because the production technique of these quite often meant that the head was stuck on separately. So you're always going to have this what looks like a break. I'm sure there were some that were done in one piece, but a lot of them were done in two pieces with the head applied after the body. And as I said, it has this artificial bronze patination added to it to make it, so it's almost classical in style, you know, that kind of ancient Greek, Roman period, but it's obviously not that old, might even be early 21st century, but for now, I'll probably say stick with late 20th century. Lovely little ornamental item, and I'll be asking around £10 to £15 for it at the market. Right, here's a weird one for you. Now, I have shown this. I know I've shown this in a previous video. So I think I asked what you thought it was. It's basically a hand with a suspended bracket with a loop on the end. So what do you think that is? Well, I won't keep you in suspense. It's actually a wine caddy. So you put your bottle into the hand and the neck through the loop. In fact, I think I might have an empty bottle prop there. Yeah, there we go. It's not full. There are no full wine bottles in my house. So basically, it goes like that. Just like that. And if you know what that impression was, or who that impression was of, again, put your answer in the comments below. I'm not engaging my brain today. It's been a long day. So there you go. So now these, I believe, are made in Southeast Asia. Could be Sri Lankan or somewhere like that. No huge age. Late 20th century, early 21st century. But a nice, unusual wine caddy. Price-wise, probably be asking around the £15 mark. Right, we are starting to get towards the end now. Now, this is another candlestick, but something slightly different to talk about, because copper. It's a copper candlestick. The sconce lifts off, or the drip pan. And what's interesting about these is, you know, I think it's copper. Did they make copper candlesticks? Well, yeah, possibly, but not as a matter of course, certainly in the Victorian period or the Edwardian period. This would have been silver plated. And over the years, it's been cleaned, polished, or possibly even stripped if it got really worn, back to the base metal, which is copper. Solid copper, very old base. So I'd probably put it Edwardian period, pre-war. But if you look, you take off the drip pad at the top and look on the bottom, look. It's still got the silver plate on it, or even possibly chrome. But it's certainly plated with a white metal of some description. And also in the nozzle there. So it would have been silver in appearance, let's put it that way, originally. It's in good condition, heavy, antique, yes, I think so. Possibly made by Elkington of Birmingham, my home city. I'm not sure, it's not marked, I've had a look. Price-wise, again, I can't really ask more than £10 at the market. Now, we've got for the sake of time, excuse me, I'll open these two together. I bought them as a as a pair. They're not identical, but I bought them as a pair, so I'll show them as a pair. Again, I don't think there's any huge age to these. But, there you go. Now, these are two hand-carved Oriental in the style of, I think anyway, the Tang dynasty. And they're hardwood rearing horses. So probably there's a little village in China or Japan somewhere churning these out by the dozen. You do see them around. They're not common as such, but you do see them around. And it's two nice examples, and I like them because the one is a dark wood and the other one is a much lighter wood. And they're supported by these. These are actually, that's real wood, the tree stump that sort of jumping over, I guess. They're real. They're both real wood, and nice bit of green baize original green baize on the base. Hand carved, as I said, some detail, a little bit of detail. Got their ears, they haven't broken off. Tails are all, no damage to them at all. Probably be asking in the region of £15 to £20 each for them. I think that'd probably be about as far as I could go at a flea market or an antique fair. But whether they would sell as a pair, I don't know. Right, I think we've got 2 more items left, that's all, in case you're wondering. This is quite a nice item. Solid brass antique cannon. The barrel moves up and down, and the wheels rotate as well. Nice patina brought on by age. If you watched my previous video, which was how to tell the difference between bronze and spelter, I do talk about how metalware is artificially patinated. So go and check that video out, because it's hardly had any views for some strange reason. I don't know why. Virtually no views at all. Whether the YouTube algorithm has been hiding it, I don't know. But it's a really interesting video, and as I said, it's about how to tell the difference between bronze and spelter. And you really, if you're getting into this game, you really need to know that the difference between the two metals or the two alloys, because if you don't, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Take my word for that. So it's definitely worth checking out my previous video. And what I might do is put a link at the end of the video to it as well, so you can just click on it and off you go. Right, so price wise, around £20 to £25. Not much more to say about it. Bit of militaria really, or a nice decorative desktop item. Now, probably the heaviest of the items. I was wondering why this tub was so heavy when I picked it up and carried it across. Well, here we go. That is a solid cast iron shoe last. It's got some lettering on the top at the end there, which probably to a cobbler or shoemaker would mean something. Letter D. It's got a cross or an X, a J. Oh, there's all sorts of letters on there, no idea. Now, these make fantastic doorstops. Normally, I sell them for about £15 each, so I'll probably stick with that at the flea market because they are quite popular. Some people mount them on a rod, on an oak base or a steel base, like a girder, cut up girder. I don't know, but I just sell them as doorstops. Antique, definitely early part of the 20th century. And as I said, price-wise, I normally get about £15 for them. So there you go. I hope that didn't go on too long. That's box or tub number 1 out of 7 that are going to be going to the flea market. Anyway, that completes tub number 1. So we'll head back up to the Eddy Suite, and I'll see you there. Right, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it interesting. If you are a new subscriber, please let me know where in the world you're from, and I'll add you to our digital subscriber list that should be scrolling across the bottom of the screen as I speak. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to support the community and the channel. But most important of all, as ever, please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.